as an aside, one of the things I stumbled upon today was Glenn's discussion of the Corvette in Bakersfield, but I don't know if that's his.
Well, it's got to
I
make the list. I mean, it's got
I
to be
mean, Glenn,
at
it's got to
least.
be right up there for you.
Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show about cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer for Fox 61 in Hartford. And joining me in this endeavor is my good friend Glenn Packman from Fairfield County and my good friend Jeff Buchholz from Chicago. Gentlemen, this is an auspicious occasion. This, in fact, is our 100th episode.
I mean,
Yay!
applause for us, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
100
yeah,
people. Wow.
yeah. So, as people, our loyal viewing audience may or may not know, this started as an idea several years ago. Um, its initial form was more doing like traditional TV packages, but that just became too labor intensive, so we didn't even get to that point. And then I've mentioned before that this show is a conversation, is the extension of a conversation that the three of us have had in various permutations over the some, 25, 30 plus years that I've known you separately and all together. Um, and so we wanted to talk about some best of here. Sort of think of it as a best of episode. So kept some categories to you guys, and so let's just kind of do a round robin, and then we can go where the conversation takes us. So, who wants to go first with their best car memory?
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, and as an aside, one of the things I stumbled upon today was Glenn's discussion of the Corvette in Bakersfield, but I don't know if that's his.
Well, it's got to
I
make the list. I mean, it's got
I
to be
mean, Glenn,
at
it's got to
least.
be right up there for you,
Oh
right?
gosh,
I
yeah, for
mean,
sure, for sure. I mean, yeah. And the personal story that I have behind that is that I was dating someone when I was doing work in Bakersfield, but living in Los Angeles. So it was weird. It was a semi-long distance thing, and they didn't have a place of their own. And they drove an older at that point C3 Corvette, uh, the most uncomfortable car to make out in. Okay. I will not go any further than that, but there was not an abundance of space to be making out inside a seat. You need to get extremely creative. And thank God I was a young man because I couldn't do that today. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So if someone
Hear that,
says,
parents? Want to keep your kids from making out in the car? Buy them a Corvette.
there you go. Which one? I don't know. But yeah, if somebody's like, "Hey, I got a bucket list item. I want to make out in a C3 Corvette in the middle of an oil field in Bakersfield." Yeah, I've done that. So, all right. We
I
just
wish I could write like
we
that.
tuned the radio to WTMI. Way too much information. When you mentioned car moments in your life, that was definitely one of them. But similarly, along the California theme, when I was living out there, I had a chance to drive through the Angeles Crest Mountains. If you go north on Route 2 above Glendale, Pasadena, and then it heads into the mountains, and it's a long, curvy, twisty until you get all the way out to the Mojave Desert. And there was one point where I just pulled over to just take in the majestic beauty and talk about remote. There's just nothing out there. But it was just me, and I literally hopped up on the hood of my Mazda Protege and just took it all in. And it was nice and cool, and it wasn't a bug to be found. It was just the sun was starting to set and the colors were amazing. And it was completely solitary and just one of those really poetic moments where you think, no one can screw this up right now. Nobody can. If I want to screw it up myself, I can, but I'm not going
Mm.
to do that. So, and it was a really relaxing, peaceful, it was a great moment. Something that I will always remember. So maybe that might be the more poetic version of my best story. I'm
Okay.
going to go with that. Yeah.
Jeff?
That's a really good one. That's hard to follow. And I was trying to think of moments that I've talked about in the times that I've been able to join you gentlemen. I can't remember if I talked during our road trip episodes about two particular road trips. My drive from Sydney to Melbourne, during which I turned on the windshield wipers of my rented Mitsubishi Magna every time I tried to signal for a lane change because the control sets were in the wrong place. And then the drive across US 50 from Sacramento to Ocean City when I turned 50, and the stellar performance of the Ford Fusion hybrid that I rented for the affair that somehow managed to clock 41 miles per the gallon on that entire trip. But I think the car memory that I know I've talked about on this podcast that's probably my favorite would have been going to racing school in driving an NC Miata at like a buck 10 or a buck 15 on the back straight at Sebring down in Florida. Um, as I sit here and think about, the different car related memories I have, and I've got none nearly as sordid as the representative from Fairfield County, but you know, we
Pretty
can't all
sordid,
be
yeah.
we can't all be Glenn Packman, as I have learned through painful trial and error. I think that's probably the one. Skip Barber in the Miata NC is probably the one that stands out for me. Um, it did a number of things. It taught me a lot about car control. It taught me a lot about sort of my own capability behind the wheel. It cured me of ever wanting to go incredibly fast on a public roadway. Um, and I discovered I looked pretty good in Nomex. So there you go.
There you go. That's excellent. Um, so I will go in the Wayback Machine to the summer of 2012, and a summer that I dubbed the summer of awesome, because all these great things happened. It started off with Glenn's 50th birthday party in New York City. Um, and like several things, and at some point I found out that Ford was going to run a driving school for their then newly announced Ford Focus ST.
Mm.
And I thought, that would be a great story to do for the newspaper slash website slash TV station at the time. We were all big one happy family. Um, and so they were doing it like 4 or 5 places around the country. And the one in the Northeast was going to be at the Patriots at Gillette Stadium, in the parking lots at Gillette Stadium. And this was going to be in July. And so I like sent a note off, like, love to come out. It's going to be on a Saturday. Love to come out, do a story. Blah, blah, blah. I get an email back from Ford saying, "It's great. We'd love to have you, but hey, why don't you come Friday? Because there won't be anyone there, and we're just running the cars around, and you can take one out." Yes, 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 I will do that.
Say
So,
less.
yeah. So now it's just like going to my boss and saying, "I really need to do this. I really need to do this." Um, and they had set two courses up, short courses in the parking lot. There was a different, there was a like a a circular course just to get a sense of the car, and then there was one twisty one that went through the things, and I'll show video of it. But it was just this great day. There weren't a lot of people there. It was fun. The people were really nice to talk to. I had great sound. I did a great stand-up.
This isn't your ordinary Focus. The engine has over 250 horsepower. That's 90 more than the base model. And inside, there's Recaro seats, leather-wrapped steering wheel, and a navigation system. And if you order everything on the option list, the price comes really close to $30,000.
It just was like this day that was like, this is really, really cool. And I'm happy to be a journalist where I can do this stuff, and tell those stories. And it was just great. So that was my day.
That's a good one, man.
That is a good one.
With that, we're going to take a quick break here to go run some commercials, and we'll be right back after this. All right.
Contestants not appearing on stage will receive a telephone from Invention Submissions Corporation.
A lifetime supply of rice-a-roni, the
That's
San
right.
Francisco treat. And a fur from Dicker and Dicker of Beverly Hills.
Can I take the rest on a Giorgio gift certificate pack?
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay. We're back. I want to throw in just one brief, I don't know if we've ever talked about it here on this venue, but this is and it's not, well, it's sort of a car thing. I mean, the car was the cohesive glue, and this is a story that affects both me and Doug. It was the early 90s, and I was in San Francisco at the same time that Doug was in San Francisco for a convention. And I had rented a car. It was a Kia Sportage, and I think it was the first generation. So it was that rounded, boxy. It was both boxy and rounded. But it was a cute little car. I mean, really, it served its purpose. It was kind of that bright orangey red. But I mean, I didn't care because I was just driving around to get from point A to point B while I was in San Francisco on business.
And it was small because it was easy to park.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, very, very small, but it was a great little car. Hats off to Kia. They had already started on their way to becoming a much better car company. But while I was there, Doug gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, you have a car, right?" And I said, "Yes." And said, "We need to pick up the guest speaker at our convention from the airport. Can you help?" And I said, "Sure." And Doug says, "That guest speaker would be Margaret Cho." So I was like, "I'm picking up Margaret Cho at the airport?" And they're like, "Yes, please, please." So I go over to pick up Doug, and Doug, you had one of your cohorts with us as well.
Yes.
I don't remember his name, but
I don't
so it was
remember his
me
name
and
either
Doug
right
and the
now.
cohort, Doug and the cohort in the back seat, me
But like
driving.
we were a little late. We had to pick her up at the airport, and our good friend Marshall was in charge of the convention that year, and he's panicking. And we're at the hotel and driving up at the check-in, and Marshall's like being, ah! So anyway, so then we go off to the airport.
Was it Marshall in the back seat?
No, it wasn't Marshall.
I didn't think so.
I can see him, but I don't remember his name.
Feels like a Ken Miguel sort of thing.
No, it was. It doesn't matter. I can explain who it was. You maybe remember. Anyway, go ahead.
Either way, we pull up to the arrivals area, and Margaret is already waiting by the curb. And to be fair, I think she probably had a long day and she was very tired. And I think maybe she was expecting like a limo, and instead she got three guys in a bright red Kia Sportage. And so I really tried my best to strike up like conversation with her. Someone that
Because
worked
you two were in front. You two were in front.
Yeah, it was easier for me to do the talking because she was right there. One of my comedy sports cohorts worked with her on All American Girl, her series from a long time ago, and I dropped her name. And the depth of Margaret's conversation was everything was great. It's great. I mentioned Amy's, and she goes, "Oh yeah, Amy's great. She's great. Yeah, great." And that's pretty much all we got to. So that has been a quote for a long period of time now. Is how's everything today? Oh, great. It's great.
It's just great. It's just great.
So I'm not putting her down. I think she had a long, tiring day and just
And
didn't feel
and
like
to her credit, to
yeah.
her credit, she later on that day was with the student journalists from the organization, and she was engaging and fun and funny and really committed to the whole thing. She was
Yeah.
really, I was really happy to see that side of her because she really was genuine with the students, and so it was a really great moment for them.
Yeah, yeah. She was never rude, never.
No,
I mean, not even
no,
close.
no,
But I was kind of hoping for that bubbly, effervescent,
yeah,
sarcastic Margaret Cho, and what we got was great. It
she's
was
great.
great.
I have one of my other favorite car related memories is also related to the San Francisco convention.
Okay.
And Doug. I had this was I can't remember what year this was. This had to have been 2010. Um,
Yeah.
and we were staying down at the Embarcadero at the Hyatt, and as featured in the Towering Inferno, starring
Hmm.
O.J. Simpson.
Right.
Ah.
Wonder whatever happened
And
to him. Anyway, so I had, like most right-thinking people who were attending that convention, I had, taken the BART in from SFO, and I, spent the week pretty much unencumbered by cars. The hotel had a car rental desk downstairs, and on the last day, a lot of us were staying over, including Doug and I. And on the last day I went down, I reserved a car. I had some friends who lived in Sacramento, and I was going to drive out and visit them. And I can't remember what I reserved, but I was feeling a little spry. So when I got up to the counter, I said, "What's the coolest car you have right now?" She said, "We just got a Challenger back this morning." I'm like, sick, I'll take that. This was a bright red
mhm.
Challenger RT, which meant it had the Hemi V8 engine, which I then proceeded to drive entirely too quickly out to Sacramento to see my old friends, and then came back to pick up Doug at the hotel to drive back to Oakland to hang out with our friends David and Gregory, who live over there and have a lovely home with a rooftop deck overlooking the bay and the bridges and all of that. And that drive across the Oakland Bay Bridge, both drives across the Oakland Bay Bridge with the windows down and listening to the sound of that engine was one of my favorites of all time. Doug, I think you feel the same way.
Yeah. It was
It
a
was
moment
just
because
kind of
when we
magic.
right, it was the twilight when we were coming back into the city, and there was sort of this: you come out of the tunnel, you press the bridge, and the city's there, and
Hmm.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
can't 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 beat it, can't beat it. And just the sound of the car, and yes, I've said before, the statute of limitations has passed on this, so if you were going extra legal speeds, you're forgiven. But like, it was just this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
To
Bay
this day,
Bridge.
I am right fond of Dodge Challengers,
Hmm.
even
With good
though,
reason.
they literally sell four other cars at Stellantis that aren't named Jeep right now. But I still think Challengers are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Bay Bridge really doesn't get enough credit. I
No.
think the view of the city is better coming in on the Bay Bridge
I
than on
agree with
the
that.
Golden Gate. The Golden
Yeah.
Gate is
Oh,
just,
yeah.
is more of a magnificent structure, but in terms of the drive. And P.S., maybe this is a thought for a future episode. Incredible bridges and the drives involved. That would be fun.
The
Yeah.
Charter Oak, the Bissell, the no.
Yeah. Oh, the majestic Charter Oak Bridge. Which, by the way, they are redesigning the entrance ramps to again because they don't work. Or they
Yeah. They
finished
they
it.
finished it. Yeah, they finished it.
What a
It does
mess.
work.
Anyway,
Does
that's
work
for
better
Hartford
now.
people. That is
Yeah.
definitely for Hartford people.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it would be a fun episode. I could think of a few.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Moving on.
yeah.
Uh, Jeff, best car you ever owned?
Best car I ever owned is the one I have now.
Okay. Sandy.
Sandy. the year 2000 Acura 3.2 TL, which my ex and I purchased new in February of 2000. 5 years later, sold to my father, who wanted something to replace his early 90s Park Avenue, which, by the way, was also a stellar car.
Yeah.
He then drove it and then could no longer drive it. And it sat in his garage, mostly unused, until 5 years ago when he called me and asked me if I wanted it back. And I had always said that it was my favorite car I'd ever owned. And if I ever had a chance to get it back, I wanted it. So I took it back and I have it now. When I was driving over the weekend, it rolled 259,500 miles.
Wow.
I've put some money in it. There have been some stuff replaced. The transmissions in that generation and those years of Honda and Acura were made of glass. So I had to replace that. I've had to replace a number of other things, braking systems, the radiator, a blend door actuator that was making a terrible noise whenever I would start the thing. But it's still pulling 30 miles to the gallon on the highway, which is wild. And it's still comfortable and it still looks pretty good. And I'm going to drive it until it doesn't make any more sense for me to do that.
Very good.
Glenn, I know your cars have been legion.
Yeah. Yes, because of my neurotic fear of owning a car over 60,000 miles. Yes. I know.
Or
Leave
Glenn,
comments. Leave comments as to
he must have heard that and broke out into hives.
yeah, right. 259. Right. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight about that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we don't get comments, Phil, because I've told people about this. I remember one rather elderly gentleman who I didn't really know that well when the conversation came around and said, "You have a new car like every 4 years or so?" And I said, "Ish." And he goes, "What are you, a moron?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I am." And darn proud of it.
It
It's a
wasn't my
thing.
father, was it?
No, but I wouldn't put it past your dad.
Aw, Dad.
Yeah, it wasn't my dad either. So, but yeah, it's a thing. And I'm not ashamed of it. I've had some terrific cars. And if I listed all of the cars that I had, most of them are at least a solid B plus. Most are A minuses, and I've had a couple just grade A cars. Everyone, if you've listened to this at all, you know that I'm enamored with our current recent purchase as of August last year, so almost a year old at this point. Our little Buick Encore GX is just a fantastic little car. I don't know if it's earth-shaking enough to make the top of the list, and I'm still in the honeymoon phase with it, so I'm going to push that aside. Shout outs to our 2017 Kia Sorento was a terrific car. An amazing six-cylinder under the hood. I mean, just growly, gravelly fun to drive and unexpected and really kind of a perfect sized car too. 3 rows and something that was really not much bigger than the Nissan Rogue is today. So, and that third row really, I mean, people didn't complain. So, and I mentioned this car in previous casts before, but I had a 1993 Mazda Protege LX. And I choose that car, even though it's of a rather pedestrian class, because it shot so much over the class that it was in. It looked like $1 million. They deliberately stole design cues from Mercedes on this car. And frankly, I think the end result was better looking than the Mercedes that they were stealing design cues from. But much more than that, it was just, the acceleration on the car was just sprightly. I mean, it wasn't going to burn tires or win any drag races, but it was a quick little car, phenomenal manual transmission, just smooth, silky, and just it for the Corolla class, which is what that car was positioned in. This thing was it was so much better than every little four-door sedan on the market at that point in time. And that this car wasn't just, didn't have earth-shaking sales just means that not enough people knew about it. It was a terrific car. And the only one of my new cars that I've driven over 100,000 miles. And I loved the car. I had no reason to want to get rid of it, and that is saying an awful lot for me because I just get tired of cars after a period of time. But hats off to Mazda. Just it was an early indication of the car company that Mazda is now.
Yeah.
They have a
I
jewel-like
was
approach to
right.
everything. Yeah.
I was going to say it really solidifies what they are as a brand. Like
Yeah.
really good value, really
Hmm.
nicely made, fun to drive, all those things wrapped up in a really, really nice looking car. And
Hmm.
yes, there have been Mazdas that haven't been, but by and large, most of the Mazdas look really nice. But
Agreed.
that was a great car. That was a
It really was. It really
yeah.
was.
It is a shame that Mazda's sort of corrosion protection was not to the level of every other part of that vehicle, because you never ever see those anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just, especially not in the northern part of the United States. They've just
Well,
dissolved.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
see
yeah.
one once in a blue moon, but yeah, probably so. I never personally had any issues with rust on the car. The repairs that I did on the car were few and far between. The serpentine belt went in the when it was around 95,000, and most people are like, oh my God, when that goes, it just rips apart the engine and you're doomed. And it was like, nope, the belt just broke and needed to be replaced. So I needed a new distributor. And I think that was like, other than that, those were the big repairs. It was just
Mhm.
tires and maintenance. And what a
It's
sweet little car. You know,
it's
it's just,
probably also the victim of cash for clunkers.
That's also true. Yeah,
You
I
know,
always forget that. Although those are pretty efficient. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know that they, a lot of them probably
I'm
didn't
just
make it to cash for clunkers.
yeah, I'm just thinking age wise,
Hmm.
because they would have been 15 years old.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And if
So
you're going to dangle money in front of somebody and go, hey, we'll give you money to buy a brand new car, who would
mhm.
say no to
Yeah. Yeah. I my my favorite car that I've owned was my Ford Focus ST. And it had the Mazda engine, so it was slightly larger. It was red. And it handled, and you know, I liked my Subaru, I liked my Honda CRV, but that car just handled. It was fun to drive. It was a 5 speed, and it just, and small but not too small. I could fit people in it and a decent amount of stuff. And just really a, a lot of fun to have as a car. And I remember um, Glenn and Bill's former place up in New York State had well, you got there by this twisty road that what's the river?
that's the Delaware River, the way upper
Delaware,
Delaware River.
right?
Yeah.
It's this, really great, like it's mountain road drop off. But it's like, oh, it's great. I just had a great time driving on it. But that would be my choice. But
Right. If
all right.
anyone wants to do the Google search for what Doug is talking about, it's called the Hawk's Nest, and it's just outside of Port Jervis, New York.
Okay.
And I believe it's Route 79, state route. Now, gosh, I used to take this road once every month, and now I don't remember the number anymore. Wow, I'm getting old. But yeah,
I'll look it up and put it down there.
thank you. It's literally a cliffside road where they carved out this twisty, amazing
Wow.
road. It's been in a lot of commercials, and uh, bikers tend to go up there to do videos of themselves screaming through the section of the road. Yeah, but it's a beautiful spot, and it's amazing to drive.
Yeah.
I'm
All
really
right.
sad that the Focus doesn't exist anymore in the US. Like, I know
Yeah.
that its bones have formed the basis for the Bronco Sport and the Escape and the Maverick, I suppose. But like the base Focus, even just a regular sort of base model Focus rubber floor mat or whatever, as long as you got it with a manual transmission, that was a
Mhm.
great small car.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. All right, we're going to take another break here. Um, Pay some bills, as they say. And we'll be back in a minute. We're back with our best of episode, our 100th episode. I'm going to start off here with best car that I would like to own. And I'm just going to say, and this will link up to something I'm going to talk about later. For me, it's the 1996 Mercedes S-Class, the W140. It's a beautiful car. It's got presence. Bruno Sacco design. It's simple and clean and elegant and looks amazing. Still, 25 years later. 30 years, almost 30 years now, right?
Mhm.
And I just love those cars. And they're probably a nightmare to maintain at this point, but just awesome looking cars. So, Jeff, what about you?
That's a great pull. The W140, talk about stately. My God. That whole car is defined by the distance between the leading edge of the driver's door and the center line of the front wheel. Like that, it just looks powerful. And
Yes,
it was one of Bruno Sacco's final designs, wasn't
I
it?
believe so. Believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I'm a little bit torn here. I was thinking about another Bruno Sacco design, which was the R129, the 300, and it would be the 300 SL from like 91 or 92. There's
Mhm.
a dealership in the suburbs that just got a year 99 or 2000 SL 500 in that kind of funky green. They sold them in that around that time for $7,700. And I am aware that there is nothing so expensive as a cheap Mercedes Benz. But boy, I am sorely tempted. And it happens that the owner of the dealership is a friend of my in-laws, so I suppose I could make a phone call. But the car that I would have if I were to have one, and this answer has actually been the same since probably they came out, would be I can't remember. I think it's the X300. It would be the Jag XJR
Okay.
from the late 90s, early 2000s with the supercharged
Mhm.
V8 engine, British Racing Green
Of
with
course.
biscuit hides, because
Mhm.
of
I
course.
know. I think you're legally obligated to get that combo.
There is, I think that's a requirement. And this was during a period of time when Jaguar was owned by Ford, so they weren't as bad. Um, and that car still to this day, like I see one every now and then, I'll see an XJ from that generation, like on my commute or whatever, and it's still just a lovely, graceful grand
Mhm.
touring sedan. Like it's not too big. It's just really lovely. And we've talked on this podcast about the future of Jaguar, and I hope there is one because we need more cars and not fewer. But if I were to get one car left for the rest of my life, that would be the one.
Fun.
This is hard. Um,
Okay.
so does this have to be just like the one car, or is this like a sidecar? Or I mean, it's
I
so
know. I think it's the fun weekend ride. It's the
okay.
one
All
that you
right.
take out on special occasions. It's the daily driver.
All
Whatever.
right. Okay. I'm gonna do the first thing that flashed through my mind when upon reading the question. And my answer is going to come across as terribly pedestrian, especially because some people are going to say that's what you picked when you could pick anything, but I have my reasons, okay? As discussed before, my first car crush as a child was the Mercury Capri from Europe. Like this 73 was the best year of that. But I wouldn't pick one of those because it was a flawed design in many ways. But if I could find a car that right after it had been manufactured, then put in a time machine is ready for me to open up today, um, I think the more mature car crush was just a few years later. I would just have a brand new loaded up 1977 VW Scirocco because
Oh, okay.
to this day, that car still stirs something in me. I don't know why.
Mhm.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Giugiaro.
Mhm.
I mean, uh, we were tossing around the idea of talking about important influences, and he would be my choice for, I think, the most one, or at least one of the most important influences in the auto industry. And that was one of his classic designs. It was this flying wedge, and it was based off the Rabbit, which was already a really good car. It was
Yeah.
light and fun to drive and good on gas and peppy as hell. And it was another car crush. And if I could find one brand new to just have as that weekend driver for no other reason than to have it, that would be it. So my kind of
It,
car. So
it's indicative of something I think Volkswagen does really well in putting different hats on the same body.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
absolutely.
had the Golf slash Rabbit, the Scirocco, you know, and that goes later on through. But yeah, how wildly different, but yet similar those two cars are. Yeah.
Right, right. And it's not ironic that the very first new car that I could afford that I bought was a 1986 Volkswagen Golf.
Mhm.
So there was a little bit of DNA there. And
Mhm.
just for reference, my little Golf was a terrific car. I mean, it just I was I was proud of myself that I managed to somehow afford it and keep it for a period of time. Yes, it had manual steering. Um, which was okay at speed, not so great in a parking lot. But it wasn't a perfect car by any stretch, but it had that Volkswagen Rabbit DNA from a few years earlier, and yeah. So there's that.
Yep.
It was a cheap substitute, but it wasn't a Scirocco, but it was a good car. And when I was my first new one, that's what I could afford. So
Yep. Yeah. And we'll be back in a minute. All right. Best car chase in a movie. Jeff, do you want to take this one?
Bullet.
Okay.
I don't
All right.
care. I don't care that the Charger loses 7 hubcaps over the course of the chase. I don't care that they pass the same Volkswagen Bug 4 times.
Lord.
I don't care. I don't care that the rest of the movie is hot garbage.
Awful. An awful movie. Thank
It's
God you said
it's
that.
such
It's
a
a
bad
terrible
movie.
movie.
It's a
Yes.
very bad movie. But the car chase is fantastic. And the fact that McQueen did his own driving in that whole chase makes it even better and makes him even more of a badass.
Mhm. Very much
I
so. Yep.
remember a few years ago, I was in Los Angeles for something and I was staying downtown. And the hotel where I was staying had this great rooftop pool deck. And they were projecting Bullet onto the side of the building across the street so the people who were at the pool deck could just sort of have it on in the background as like atmosphere or something.
Uh,
So, someone's trying to talk to me. I'm like, stop, stop, stop. They're going to drive the thing. So, yeah, that's the
yeah.
one.
And those two cars are just quintessential that time period. I mean, you couldn't have chosen two better cars.
They were really well cast.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
particularly the Charger as the baddie car with the
Mhm.
hidden headlights and stuff. It kind of looked sinister. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. The
Yeah.
only,
What?
the only part of that movie worth watching, really.
Yeah. 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 Glenn.
wow. I
I
have
have a
to do.
runner-up too.
Oh, do you? Okay, because
Yes.
I have sort of a two-pronged approach to mine, although I do also have a runner-up too. Uh, so the French Connection was, a stellar film. Arguably Friedkin's best. And the chase scene where he's following the elevated train from underneath
Mhm.
is just, fascinating and just from a
So,
technical standpoint, one of the best edited scenes in
yeah.
cinematic history. The
Hmm.
editing in that scene is just, you got to look for it because that's how well it's edited. But boy, and then one of his future projects comes along and somebody says, Bill, you got to up the game here. So I'm going to go with the chase scene in To Live and Die in LA. Also, not a great film.
Yeah.
It had moments. It had moments, but it was so undercut by the toxic masculinity in the film, I think. I mean, William Friedkin wearing a football jersey with a formal silk scarf and calling people amigo. Hey amigo, what's going on, amigo? I mean, not a great film, but the chase scene, for those of you who haven't seen it, in order to evade capture by the police, William Friedkin drives the wrong way onto a busy LA freeway.
Mhm.
That's the thing that nightmares are made of,
Mhm.
and that's how it was filmed.
Mhm.
It was just, I remember my heart racing when I was watching that in theater, and
Mhm.
it's a movie.
Yeah.
So hats off to that. That was just,
Mhm.
another great one. Didn't less about the car, more about the situation for sure. Because I
Yeah.
think it was a big Ford they were driving.
It
So
was they had a like a standard issue police
yeah,
Chevy Caprice,
yeah,
and the other car was a really beautiful Mercury Grand Marquis.
Ah,
And and I remember I saw it with my brother Dave, and we were watching it. And at the time, we were both working for the car rental company, and we had a bunch of Grand Marquis in the fleet. And during the chase scene, he leans over to me, and goes, "That's the correct engine sound. Like they use the right engine sound." And I know that's like a tiny, stupid little thing that, like, I guess we and the sound editor are the only people who realize that, but I thought that was
that's
that's
pretty
Look,
cool.
a continuity flaw like that takes you out of the movie. So that
Yeah,
the fact that they got it right shows that they were paying
Mhm.
attention, that they were good
Yeah,
people making the film, even if the
right,
film maybe didn't
sure.
wasn't as good as they'd hoped it would be. A good soundtrack.
Yeah,
yeah, great
it's
soundtrack. Wang
yeah,
Chung at the
Yep.
height of their careers. Yeah, Wang
yep.
Chung really did a great job with that actually.
Mhm.
And if I can pay one more compliment to it, which wasn't about the chase, really tremendous button for when it's all done. I think it was Interstate 10 that they were going the wrong way on.
Mm.
And when all is said and done and they managed to evade capture, they cut back to the highway with just one crash after another and miles of traffic. And the voiceover is a traffic report going,
There's a minor tie-up on the North Long Beach right near Henry Ford. A couple of cars have tangled in traffic there.
and there's just, which said a lot about
That's
Los
good.
Angeles traffic reports
Right,
and,
Yeah.
right,
the irony of the situation. Minor
Right.
delays. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
all.
yeah,
So yeah, they end it with a little bit of a look, you know.
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Doug,
Doug, um, the chase scene in Peacekeeper, and it's that same W-140, George Clooney, Nicole Kidman. They get like they go there's some fixer in this village or town or whatever, that he's a longtime friend of George Clooney's character, and they're trying to get out of a bad situation, and they get stuck, and then all of a sudden he gets killed, and they've got to reverse out of there, and they've got a bulletproof windshield and stuff, and people are firing at them, and it's just they're in and out the small town in Italy or wherever, Germany, I don't know, wherever it is, but you know and just I mean there's shots of it, the wheels spinning at one point, the gas coming out of it, when it gets crashed, and going through a fountain, or something, and just all these moments, and just like, wow, that's really, really great, and electrifying, and it's all there, so
Hmm. That's a
all
good one.
right.
Quickly, my runner-up,
Sure, sure.
the Blues Brothers. The final scene where Jake and Elwood are blasting through Lower Wacker Drive and getting any number of cops into crashes so that they can show up at the city county building and pay the orphanage's property tax debt. Everything from the beginning of that chase to crashing through the glass at the Daily Center, running into City Hall, City County building across the street, having every body panel on the Monaco fall apart, and then getting into the elevator with the girl from Ipanema playing, and then they run up to the tax clerk played by Steven
Steven Spielberg.
Spielberg. Yes. It's just
Yep.
the whole thing is just it's great, it's magic, it's a love letter to Chicago, and the lore about that particular chase is good because the Jane Byrne was the mayor at the time, and apparently John Landis and John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd went to the mayor and said, "Hey, we kind of want to do this," and Jane Byrne was a pretty no-nonsense woman, and she was like, "Yeah, crash it all. I don't care," because Old Man Daly, Richard J, never wanted filming done in Chicago.
Really?
And so he was gone. He was, had died in office some years beforehand. And then Jane Byrne had come in with this promise that she was going to shake up the system. She's like, "Sure, do whatever you want." And the city looks great.
Hmm. Hmm.
My runner-up is also from a comedy and also is a love letter to the city that it's in. And it's the chase scene near the end of What's Up, Doc? With Brian O'Neill and Barbara Streisand, which is both a bike and a Volkswagen and a Cadillac.
That's
It is,
right.
first off, it is
Aw.
ripping funny. I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
just,
a good
but,
movie.
and talk about just a loving homage to everything that San Francisco is. Of course, the chase scene ends up going down Lombard Street. Of course it does.
Yes.
There's the guy doing cement work and they keep driving through his cement. There's the guys moving a plate glass window. It's hysterically funny and so well put together. And how does it all end? With all of them going into San Francisco Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except for the Volkswagen, which floats, which
Right.
is a myth that doesn't really
Right.
happen.
Right.
They used it for the movie. But yeah, so thank you, Jeff, because that was mine. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're doing it. Yeah.
And both What's Up, Doc and French Connection are famous for not getting permitted. They didn't get filming permits for at least some of the scenes in What's Up, Doc, and a lot of the scenes in French Connection. And there's still a chip in some of the steps in San Francisco where one of the cars hit it and
Really?
took a
Wow.
divot out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
So, all right. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Best Car-Pinionated episode.
Glenn, go.
Gosh, I don't know. There've been so many.
100.
God, I didn't put together a list on this one. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back.
Okay. All right. Jeff.
Halcyon.
This thing is so divorced from any reality. It is like what designers in 1980 probably thought a car in 2000 would look like. And you're right, Doug, like all of the features on it are just, I mean, I can't imagine that they exist. And B, like, I'm not sure if that's what people are looking for. I think,
yeah.
and also C, it assumes a level of autonomy in terms of driving that we will not arrive at next year or in 2 years or in 5 years, not without a whole lot of lawsuits.
It's definitely on my list. There's something that
it was I stand by every critique we made of that car, by the way. Even after I saw it in person at the Chicago Auto Show just a few months ago. And I remember walking up to the display and going, "Oh my gosh, it really is a car." Because I know at the time when we recorded it, we thought this is an AI flight of fancy. There's no way this thing exists.
Right.
In fact, it does.
Right.
So, but that was not only I think was it a pretty good critique of the way that Stellantis's U.S. Army sort of lost its way, and everything that has happened since then suggests that we were right about a lot of it. It was just I'll just say it, we were funny. We were funny and we were good, and it was a fun episode to record, honestly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey,
Okay.
Glenn, I can go if you want. You
I
have it?
can. Yeah.
Okay.
It just hit me like, because it's the one that I think when I saw it after we were done, I was just I was very proud of what we put out. Tesla, because what a lightning rod. I'll make it a blunt statement to say that there's sort of a stubbornness about Tesla that is becoming more and more apparent. And it just, I'll start by saying that their design language is starting to age out. Okay. And
Oh, oh
yeah,
yes.
and
Yeah.
that's bad. And I was proud of us for doing it with a sense of objectivity, but just being able to talk about this lightning rod topic objectively made me very proud.
Mhm.
We could get saturated with a lot of opinions about the man and about politics and about everything that's going on. And we were talking about cars. And
Mhm.
I'm just very proud that I think we cranked out an episode that had our opinions, but never came across as like hyper opinionated. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
think that's one of the important things about what we do here is, yeah, we're talking about what we like and how we're impressed by things, and that's great. But never once do we ever say, and that's exactly how it has to go, America. You
Mhm.
have to listen to us, and we're 100% right. And if you don't believe us, then, we're not those guys. We're not. And I'm proud of us for that. So everything I say here, if you want to contradict, bring it on. I want to talk about it.
Mhm.
And that sort of crystallized in that episode for me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Mhm.
does. I have two Tesla oriented episodes that I'm very proud of. I would agree with the Halcyon episode. I love that episode. Um, but the one on the Cybertruck, not the time that I spent with it when it first came out. I think, Jeff, that was your first episode.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
gentlemen, who do you think is going to buy the Cybertruck? I have my own thought about this, and I think
no.
it's general contractors in Marin County. Um,
Okay.
so what do you
All
guys
five
think?
of them.
Who do you guys?
And I look back and, we were, there was a lot of hype around it, but like we were prescient, we were forward thinking about what it's turned out to be,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought
you
that
know?
too.
And the other one, another Tesla oriented episode was the Robo Taxi. Oh yeah, well, you can have your one car and you have it do your work, do this stuff while you're at work, and well, maybe you have 10 or 20, right? And so now you've gone from a $30,000 investment to a $300,000 or $600,000 investment. And like, who's coming up with that scratch? I
Uh,
don't often rant on things. Oh, but oh man.
yeah.
And can I say this about that? That they've started doing robo taxis with Model 3s, I think, in Austin. There's like 10 of
Yes,
them.
yes.
And they essentially have to have somebody someplace, somebody in the car, but they also have to have somebody back at headquarters, like with cameras and ready to take. It's like this is a nightmare. This is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked about a lot of things. I can't thank you guys enough because you make this so much fun. I spend a lot of time listening to your voices, and and
I'm
and
so
I
sorry.
no, it's fine because it's fun to work on it. It's fun to do this. We're getting played on a bunch of Tegna stations, specifically Fox 43 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Buffalo Station GRZ. And it's just I'm thankful for the reception that we've gotten from people. We have some loyal fans who really enjoy watching it week after week, and I appreciate them very much. And it's just it's a lot of fun. And in my career in TV news, this is one of the best things I've been able to do, and we'll continue doing it as long as we can. So, with that, we're gonna dock this ship, land this plane. Remember, you can look back at all 100. Actually, you can only look back at 99 episodes because one of them YouTube doesn't play. I don't know why. And yeah, so we will see you all next week.